Well, holy cow, this is way overdue, but I'm going to finally show you how we transformed our 1980 style kitchen with no pantry into well, it's going to be still a 1980 style kitchen. It's just going to have a pantry and also a secret entrance to our basement. So check this out. One of my other videos you might remember that had a stairway down here when we were finishing the basement, but now it actually has a one-touch operated hydraulic assist floor. It operates on 12 volts, and it will work even if the power goes out. And let you come all the way downstairs, back into the game room, which we just finished, and the kids have successfully destroyed. But what I'm going to do in this video is show you everything that I did wrong, things I did right, and I'll go over the different types of the actuators and stuff I used in case you have a space like this and you want to transform it into to something functional like I did. So stay tuned and check this whole thing out. Alright, welcome to our 1980s kitchen with no pantry. This is the best thing we've got going. We've been storing stuff on this shelf. Here's the entrance to the basement. We've been storing shelf there for the last 10 years, just piled up and reaching up and grabbing it. So we are going to make floor-to-ceiling shelves, maybe even some cabinetry and some shelves around this perimeter. But in order to do that, we need a floor. So I just mocked up a wooden frame. The actual frame will be made out of metal, or out of aluminum, 1x2 channel. So the premise is that there will be a perimeter of trim around this whole this whole length here, and then just underneath of this one, that's where my hinge will be on. I'll have a hydraulic assist probably somewhere in this back corner. I have to build out a little support for it, but have a hydraulic lift arm, and then it will be nice and easy to come bring down, sit there. I'll put like a little eyelet or something in here to grab onto, make it easy to lift up. And also I will do a continuation of my railing. It will come up underneath, and then on the bottom side I will just continue the railing mounted on this piece here so that you got a little grab at the top. Also might help bring it down. So again, this is the mock-up frame. I need to run up to Home Depot, see if they got some sort of better piano hinges to do this on, and then we'll start laying out the aluminum. Alright, so I reattached the railing. Now I have two. This is going to be my nailer for my hinge. It's going to go all the way across. I actually was going to originally cut out this the drywall here and set it back in, but I figured this is going to be easier in case we go to sell it or whatever. We can take this stuff off real easy. And then this is the one that the bottom platform will rest on. So I just got my lengths cut for my aluminum frame. Actually, I got to get my buddy to come help me weld it, and then we'll put it in place. The one thing I haven't figured quite out, I don't know if I'm going to go with long piano hinge or like 5-door hinges. Haven't figured that part out yet, so give me a second and I will. Alright, I got these 5-inch hinges that I'm going to mock up on one of my cutoffs, and basically I marked it with a pencil in the center and then punched it, and I took a 9/64 bit to pilot that, and then I used I think it's like a 0.8 by 5 millimeter tap, and that's what these threads are on the screw that I just misplaced. Anyhow, it's the screws that came with these. So these hinges are designed to either go in wood or in metal, which is nice because they came with the right fitting screws and they thread right in. So I'm gonna do the rest of these and then mock this hinge up against the frame that's already mounted on the wall and make sure I got the right clearance and everything. All right, so this represents my mocked up floor. This will be the frame. It's mounted to the back. That's where the machine screws are. And then this part under here, try to lighten that up a little bit. These will just be regular old wood screws going in. But you can see this hinge has got a nice bearing built in, so it doesn't just drop. I mean, I'm sure it'll drop when it's got all the weight on there, but that's what the hydraulic assist will be for. I'll have a little gap, but once I have my flooring on, I'll probably hold it all the way back to that seam and just notch it for each hinge. That way, when it comes up, it'll sit like this up against the wall. And then I actually have enough room to continue my baseboard all the way across here. So when the floor is down, the baseboard will sit on top and it'll look relatively normal. It looked like a normal 4 trim. So, all right, we're going to move on to the main frame. All right, I just want to be able to lay my hinges out without getting in the way of my cross members. So this is where my beams are going to go, every 16 inches. So I just got them squared up and marked off. And I'll go ahead and lay out my hinges now and have a sip of beer. Well, my brilliance is coming to an end. So I tried on the, I had an issue on one of the practice runs where it stripped out the metal. So you can kind of see in there, you know, there's not much, I can be able to see shit, but there's not much sticking out and there's not much meat. So 2 of the 3 have stripped out, even with very gentle tapping and very gentle screwing in. So I think I'm just going to drill all the way through. I think I'll just go, I'll have to find a flathead screw that make it all the way out, and I'll put a nut in here because that'll be hidden. That'll be inside the actual frame. That's, you know, up against the wall, so the frame will be out here. So I got to do some more figuring out, but no, at least learn from my mistakes. It's not as easy as like slapping these hinges together. I need more meat in here, so we either got to put a piece of wood. I can run a piece of wood through the table saw so that it fits nice and snug in there and run it the whole length so that the hinges can bite into wood. But I think it would be easier just to put a machine screw in a nut. That'll probably be stronger anyhow. So that's what we're going to do. We made pretty quick work of this. Just some cardboard shims and a couple of clamps keeping everything tight. And we were able to get the welds looking pretty good. So thanks, Jed. Did a good job on this. He said, now what? Now we're done. Now we post it to YouTube. My boy Jed just welded this thing up and it looks really good. And he's sad that we're not going to see any of these joints. But
some of the good ones.
This will be sweet. Basically, this thing is going to flip up when you open up the door like that. And then obviously when we lower it back down on those hinges, it'll be a really strong frame to walk on. I mean, shit. Nice job, man. Yeah. All right, so the frame is in place. Put the all the hinges on. Sort of mock it, make sure it had space. Nothing has changed since the original dimensions. The frame only weighs 27 pounds as it is right now. Once it has the plywood and the laminate, it's probably gonna be closer to 150 pounds. So back here in this end, I'll have to weld on an ear, either here or here, to support a hydraulic assist lift like you have on the trunk of your car or the hood. So it doesn't smash anybody. Man, this thing is pretty darn solid. And I'm gonna go ahead and get the plywood on it right now and see how it feels walking across. Not too shabby. I just needed a little break from the mechanical engineering. So I got my paint on and got these things coated up, primed and painted and ready to use sooner than later. They turned out pretty good for just some finished grade plywood. All right, so I'm ready to try and fit my piston on the door, and I ordered these mounts off of Amazon. They're much smaller than I thought they would be. So I asked my buddy Jed to see if he can find some scraps, make me some bigger ones. But the biggest problem is when you snap these in, the way this is designed, the things on the outside, the studs on the outside. So when you push, when it's got force, it's going to just automatically tend to try to pull up those screws, those bolts. So what I want to do is I'm going to drill this out. I'm going to grind, like I did this one, I'm going to grind the stud out off of it. And then I'm going to flip it around and have the stud on this side. And it should, that force should, just push this mount right back into the surface it's mounted to. So I'm just going to grind this thing off real quick and then knock it out. I think I got to step it up one size with the drill bit. That's about it, but it's pretty easy. punch. I'm going to try and there it is. I'm just off slightly. There we go. So I just need to drill this out about a 16th. So I think the new studs don't. All right. Now they will go like this. And then this will mount on. And yeah, that's much better because once that's locked in, I mean, I'm pushing pretty darn hard and it's not flipping or anything. So that's exactly what I want. I just got to find a nut and a washer. We'll be back in business and we'll have, I don't know, we're going to try to see if this thing actually works. Well, Houston, we've got a problem because I guess I should have taken an engineering course or two. So this is it's not going to work. So I try to pull this down and it's too much weight still. So the too much PSI for sure. I think it could be mitigated if I had this down lower. I may try that. I may try to just move it down. But the problem is I actually cranked on this thing to close it. Oh, and it starts to come down, but I run out of piston. So it hits before I'm closed. So that sucks. I don't know how to measure that. Oh, and I'm going to let this go and it's going to fly up. It's got too much pressure on it. So back to the drawing board. So this thing has been a complete pain in the butt. Right, I'm just trying to rig this up for distance, but basically I had it mounted over to this side, so the piston ran long ways. It didn't have enough lift force, and then it just wanted to slam it at the very top. So I moved it, and it took a couple times to get a pretty close angle. I'll actually make a piece of aluminum. I think I'll move it over here, right in line with the wall stud. But in the back of this, essentially I've got it reinforced right now, and it's pretty solid. The best part is it actually freaking works. So very light pressure on it, and it doesn't slam, and it's pretty easy to lift up. It's got a little weight to it, but right about here it's almost weightless. As you get it, it'll almost hold itself at an angle, and then we'll just slowly go back. Now I left the handle out, but it goes back and holds itself. So pretty stoked with it, and we can start using this thing. I'll once I get the bracket on, I'll do one last showing. Trapdoor. Well, when I started this thing, which has now been months ago, I was like, it's going to be a cool project. I was excited about it. I'm no longer excited about it. It's a complete pain in the ass. I have bought different hydraulic assist, different lengths, different pressures, and I still can't find the perfect combination. I have made some nice, I'll show you here, some nice brackets. Again, my buddy Jed gave me some aluminum. So basically created these brackets, and they've got holes drilled equal distance between the top bracket and the bottom bracket. So I can actually move this up in increments to try to get different resistance, different angles on it. This one will be the same case. I'm still using blocks temporary here, but I do have a piece of aluminum I'll use in this corner. And I'll show you, it's relatively easy to shut. Doesn't take much pressure. You know, it's going to be functional, which is great. It's going to be a great
pantry area for us that we don't have, and I'll probably put a big can dispenser here for soups and canned goods and stuff. But Sarah's still there. My wife still thinks that it's a little too much to lift. I'd say it's a lot of it is the resistance of the pistons themselves. You get to this point, it gets in that last bit of the stroke that's designed to dampen. So you have to kind of force it back. But what I think this means I'm going to do is put an electric actuator on that back one. I'm going to pull that one off. Right now, these are two 60-pound struts. I think I'm going to use a 100-pound electric actuator that moves at about 2 inches per second. I think that's going to be enough to open this, and I can do it on a remote switch, and it's 12 volt. I will tie it into my battery bank that I have in the basement. So, to be continued here in a minute, but that's the next step.
Oh my gosh, this has taken me forever, but check this out. Same thing up here, one touch. All right, so quick recap. End up using aluminum bracings tied into the studs. I showed you how I did this whole frame. This is a 40-pound strut with a 100-pound 12-volt actuator. It actually has a couple different options, but I chose the option with the wireless key fobs. I could take it down pretty easily if I want to service it. It just has pins on both, top and bottom. And this one's kind of rigged up, but it still works. Pretty silent, and it drills through. Went through the other side to power it. Here's my remote. All the other additional wiring, some fuses, but it's all tied into a battery bank that I have down here in the basement, which will run for about a day, somewhere around 12 to 24 hours, with some of the electronics and refrigerator stuff I have hooked up into it. But yeah, so if the power goes out, this automatically kicks on, and I will not lose the ability to open or close this basement door. So I'll put some links in the description to some of the components that I used. Progressive Automations, I think, is where I got this from. So they were great people. I sent them a couple questions, and end up using like a shut-off switch to make sure I protect the motor. All sorts of little things like that. They're really helpful. But all in all, pretty impressed with myself. No, I'm impressed in how this turned out. I still have a few little things, adjustments maybe to clean up, but all in all, this is going to be a really functional space for us. This used to be just dead air, dead space, and we didn't have any place to put all this stuff except for downstairs. So I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you're thinking about doing a project like this, I can certainly elaborate on some of the things that went wrong for me and lessons learned. So thanks for watching.